In the quiet suburbs of 1970s America, neighbors remembered him as polite, dependable, even charming. He attended community events, spoke calmly, and blended into ordinary life so perfectly that no one imagined what existed beneath his home. But when a young boy vanished without explanation, a chain of small clues led investigators to one of the most horrifying discoveries in American criminal history. What police found below that suburban house would permanently scar the nation and redefine how America viewed serial killers. Forever, snow drifted through the streets of the Midwest during the winter of 1978, as families prepared for the holidays. Bright decorations glowed from windows, while crowded shopping centers buzzed with last-minute customers. Somewhere in that normal American atmosphere, a teenage boy disappeared. After telling his family he would return home before dinner. Hours passed. Then an entire night. Soon, panic spread through the neighborhood like wildfire.
At first, investigators believed the disappearance might be another runaway case. Teenagers vanished often during the decade, and police departments across the United States were overwhelmed by missing person reports. But the boy's family insisted something felt wrong. Friends reported seeing him speaking to an older man near a local store. Witnesses described a calm individual driving a familiar vehicle, someone who did not appear threatening at all. As detectives retraced the teenager's final known movements, the trail repeatedly pointed toward a respected local contractor living in a quiet suburban neighborhood. He had no appearance of danger. He dressed neatly, smiled often, and spoke with confidence. Some people even considered him a role model in the community. Yet investigators slowly noticed strange inconsistencies in his statements. The more they questioned him, the more unsettling the situation became. Inside police headquarters, tension grew. Detectives uncovered reports linking multiple missing boys to the same suburban areas over several years. Faces from old case files suddenly resurfaced. Young men who had vanished without answers. Families who had spent years trapped between hope and grief. Investigators realized they might not be looking at a single disappearance anymore. They could be standing at the edge of something much darker.
The suspect remained calm during interviews. He joked with officers, acted cooperative, and projected confidence. Yet beneath that composure, detectives sensed calculation. He seemed strangely fascinated by the investigation itself. Every answer felt rehearsed, every expression controlled. Even experienced investigators struggled to understand whether they were speaking to a harmless citizen or a predator hiding behind an ordinary smile. Weeks later, police surveillance intensified around the suburban home. Officers watched visitors come and go, while unmarked cars remained parked nearby through freezing nights. Some detectives noticed a foul odor near the property. The weather conditions and clutter around the house complicated the search. Rumors began spreading quietly among investigators, but nobody was prepared for the truth waiting below the floorboards.
America, during the late 1970s, was already gripped by fear. News coverage of serial crimes had expanded dramatically, and public trust in safety was beginning to collapse. Parents warned children not to talk to strangers. Communities locked doors earlier. Yet, the terrifying reality emerging in this investigation was even worse. Sometimes the danger did not look suspicious at all. Sometimes evil wore a friendly face. After obtaining a warrant, investigators finally entered the home for a detailed search. The house looked ordinary. Furniture sat neatly arranged. Family photographs decorated walls. Nothing immediately suggested unimaginable violence. But as officers moved deeper inside, they discovered disturbing items connected to missing young men. Handcuffs, clothing, personal belongings. The atmosphere inside the house changed instantly. Then, detectives noticed a hidden crawl space beneath the home. Flashlights cut through darkness as investigators descended below the floorboards. The air was thick, damp, and unbearable. Officers struggled to breathe as the smell intensified. Dirt covered the ground in uneven patches. Some investigators later admitted they immediately sensed they were standing inside a graveyard before they uncovered a single body. The first human remains appeared slowly beneath the soil. Then another. Then another. Silence consumed the crawl space as investigators realized the scale of what they had discovered. The suburban home above them had concealed a mass burial site for years, while life continued normally only feet away. News of the discovery exploded across America. Television broadcasts interrupted programming. Newspapers printed horrifying headlines. Reporters crowded outside the property day and night, while stunned neighbors struggled to process reality. The image of a quiet suburban house hiding unimaginable brutality became permanently burned into American memory. As forensic teams continued excavations, the number of victims kept rising. Families of missing boys gathered near police stations, desperate for answers. Some prayed their children would not be identified among the remains. Others quietly feared they already knew the truth. Across the nation, parents watched the story unfold in horror, realizing how vulnerable ordinary communities truly were. Investigators uncovered evidence revealing how carefully the killer manipulated victims.
He often presented himself as trustworthy and successful, using charm to lower defenses. Many victims were teenagers searching for work, opportunity, or simple acceptance. The killer exploited vulnerability with chilling precision while maintaining a completely normal public image. The psychological impact on detectives became severe. Officers working inside the crawl space endured unbearable conditions for weeks. Many later described nightmares, emotional breakdowns, and memories that never faded. Some investigators admitted the smell alone haunted them for the rest of their lives. The crime scene transformed experienced professionals forever. As the suspect's past unraveled, even more disturbing details emerged. Beneath the polished exterior existed years of violence, manipulation, and hidden warning signs. Yet many people who knew him still struggled to believe the accusations. That contradiction became one of the most terrifying aspects of the case. Evil had hidden comfortably within ordinary American life.
Courtroom proceedings drew enormous national attention. Survivors, investigators, reporters, and grieving families packed the courtroom, while evidence revealed the full nightmare piece by piece. Prosecutors painted the image of a calculated predator who carefully constructed two separate identities, one for the public and another hidden beneath the surface. Outside the courthouse, fear spread across the United States. Parents became more protective. Missing person investigations changed permanently. Law enforcement agencies across America began sharing information more aggressively after realizing how easily serial offenders could exploit communication failures between jurisdictions during that era. The house itself eventually became a symbol of horror. Images of the suburban property appeared endlessly across magazines and television specials. For many Americans, it represented the collapse of innocence during the late 20th century. The idea that monstrous crimes could remain hidden behind an ordinary front door terrified millions. Years later, criminologists and psychologists continued studying the case, trying to understand how someone could maintain such a normal appearance while committing unimaginable violence. Experts examined manipulation tactics, personality disorders, and societal blind spots that allowed predators to hide in plain sight for so long. But for the victims' families, the case never became a documentary or a headline. It remained deeply personal grief frozen in time. Bedrooms stayed untouched for years. Parents carried unanswered guilt. Siblings grew older, haunted by memories that never healed. Long after cameras disappeared, the emotional damage remained. Today, the case still stands as one of the darkest true crime stories in American history, not only because of the brutality involved, but because it shattered a comforting illusion. It forced the nation to confront a terrifying truth. Sometimes the most dangerous people are not hiding in abandoned alleys or dark forests. Sometimes they are standing next door, smiling politely, living ordinary lives, while darkness waits just beneath the floorboards.